You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
What's happening, friends? How are you? How are you doing? And welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I do hope you're doing well, mate. As always, I really do hope that. And today, in Chelsea news, we are discussing Mykhailo Mudryk, Chelsea's high-profile Ukrainian attacker winger. Has he been banned? Because there's been a suggestion that by now all parties would know the verdict, and if it's not positive, then surely, or maybe the result has been positive, just to confuse you. Yeah, a bit on Mudryk. Reece James has done an interview with Chelsea. Of course, Chelsea's captain, lest we forget. Slowly doing more captainy things, like speaking publicly to media after losses, arranging, team bonding meals, stuff that fans might turn their nose up at. But he's doing something, he's trying, which is important. And Football Insider, Stefan Borson, that, let's be real, that knobber. He used to work for Man City. He's always talking about Chelsea finances. He's spoken about a Todd Boehly full takeover. Of course, I know Boehly's been subject to mass criticism in the Chelsea ownership, but there's a lot of Chelsea fans that think Chelsea would be a lot better if he could go back in control. Because, remember, Boehly was the one that wanted to sign Aubameyang, Koulibaly, Kuka, or the more senior players, even if he's agreeing with the new sporting director's general ideas. And of course, a lot of Chelsea fans have turned their hatred towards Clear Lake Capital, Badad Iqbali, who he himself has no previous experience in sports, unlike Todd Boehly. So there are some Chelsea fans I've seen on social media that would like Todd to put together a few people to try and buy out Clear Lake, essentially. Todd Boehly, of course, has got a long-standing experience with sticking with sports teams for a long time. So we'll find out what's being said in that article as well. Thank you guys for all the nice feedback on yesterday's video. Yes, I tried to do... I did a really long-form piece of content, and it was... It seemed like there was a lot of dead air, so I chopped it like I used to in videos. And because I haven't done that in so long, a lot of you guys reacted like, this is not for me. And I hear that. Fair enough. I won't do it again, certainly for the moment. If I do some edits, it would be like a couple of chops with perhaps stuff on the screen, but certainly I won't edit so much like I did before. So I like to listen to the people, and that's what I do here on Football Therapy. Quick reminder that if you want to be a member of the community, just subscribe to the channel, become a member of the GOAT Gang. As always, I'll thank you for liking the video as well. And yeah, let's get into it. So I want to start off with we'll do it this way. Like I said, we'll talk about Mudryk. We'll see what Reece James is saying. Again, it's going to be very, very sort of PR-y Chelsea website stuff, but let's just have a look. And then we'll end with this Todd Boehly takeover article on Football Insider. I did want to start with Mudryk because I listened to the Athletic Chelsea podcast straight out of Cobham. We're hosted by Matt Davis-Adams, and of course he is the Chelsea correspondents Simon Johnson and Liam Twomey both on, and they were talking, of course, the Conference League, which I'm actually quite looking forward to on Thursday evening. At Copenhagen, of course, top of their domestic league, will be proving to be, should prove to be a tricky game, or prove to be a tricky game. So it could be a good mood lifter should we win that before what is a very winnable game against Leicester. But they spoke about Mudryk because he's been listed in the Chelsea squad for the knockout phases in the Conference League. But Liam Twomey explained that due to the way the transfer window went and players leaving and registering, it would have changed absolutely nothing to remove him from the squad because they couldn't replace him or something like that. So if anything, it would have just been admin to remove him. And maybe they thought that, this is me speaking now, maybe they thought of the optics of Chelsea removing him that could have created a story. They probably thought just leave him in for the moment. But they went on to say, look, when your A sample comes back positive, which is a negative result, it's so mind-bending. A bad result, not what you want. It's very unlikely that the B sample is going to come and save you. That's the general vibe, yeah? So with that, they said it's been so, again, to quote Twomey again, he said it's been so long since this originally surfaced, this story, that he would imagine, or that all parties know the outcome. And if all parties know the outcome, if it's good, you would have assumed we would have heard by now that's some good news, and he would be like training in pictures and, whatever. It would have been good news. So the fact how we're constantly being linked with wingers in the summer, this stuff, I haven't reacted to it because I thought it was a bit of a meh story, but Nico Williams has been spoken about again. He's on £350,000 a week. I personally, although I know Chelsea fans want us to break our wage, some Chelsea fans want Chelsea to break the wage budget to bring in the stars. I kind of understand that for some players, but for me, that would be you break the wage budget to bring in Isak or Osimhen, like these guaranteed super goal scorers. Do you know what I mean? Or somehow you sign one of the best goalkeepers in the world. For a young winger, when you've got other talented young sort of attacking, to give this guy in some instances 4 times the amount that other Chelsea wingers are getting, I think personally that's really unhelpful. But what it does say to me is that, there's very, very likely. I'm just sort of expecting Mudryk to face a ban. I'm not reporting and reacting to a report of confirmation of this. This is my suspicion. My suspicion really is the story now is how long the ban is. If he appeals it to CAS, which he almost certainly will, because he's talked about not knowingly taking it. It was out of the country. It was with the Ukraine national team, I believe. So, it might be a 4-year ban that he gets reduced to 2 years or even 18 months. And 18 months wouldn't be that bad. I mean, it's pretty bad when you're a young footballer. We'll see what happens there. All right, then. Let's keep this train going, baby. Choo-choo. Reece James, let's see what he's been saying. I'm just going to jump straight into some of the quotes he's talked about. And this is obviously reaction to how Chelsea have been recently. He said this: everyone wants to win, and win. That's true. But when you learn the most, especially with a young team, is in these difficult periods. The segment on Chelsea goes, chelseafc.com goes, our captain is 25 now. He's experienced highs and lows during his career so far, leaving him well placed as anybody in the squad in an understanding and dealing with the way football can so quickly bring you back down to earth. This is obviously surely referring to his injuries as well as poor form. He said this: I think we learned a lot during this spell about ourselves and where we can do things differently going forward. This is the poor run of form. You can't lose sight of what our targets are. These spells can happen in football. They've happened to the biggest teams in the world. But what we must do is react well, stick to what we know, and stick together as a group. And that is what we are doing. Yeah. Of course, it spoke about how we won 4-0 against Saints, which about par, really, isn't it? They're so bad. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to denigrate the win because I was so happy, and God forbid we didn't. God forbid we even just won 2-1 or something, But 4-0 is a good feeling. He says, we had a difficult run where things didn't go our way despite good performances. So it will be good to get the win, he states, talking about the Conference League. So it was good to get the win, sorry, referring to Southampton. Now we have to focus on what's ahead, the Conference League restarting and the final months of the Premier League. We want to keep building momentum, finish the season in the right way, and qualify for the Champions League. Everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet now, aren't they, after the criticism? Champions League. It started with Malo Gusto. It was followed up by the gaffer, which almost certainly someone got in his ear and was like, start being positive. Do you know what I mean? Reece James has freaking won the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? He can say it with his chest. He goes on to say, everyone wants what's best for the team, and all we need to do is... so we will all do what we need to do. Pedro, as in Neto, for example, isn't playing in his position at the moment, but he's doing an amazing job to help the team, and that's the mindset. And yes, I was thinking about Pedro Neto today, as a obsessive Chelsea fan who just thinks about Chelsea players sometimes. He has been leaving it all out on the pitch. He looks so gassed playing the 9 role because he's not necessarily... He's clearly given a sort of free madman press like a maniac and run the channels, and then, you know, the rest will sort of fall into place. And it's kind of worked, but he's looked absolutely on his, like, you know, haunches afterwards, which is good. That's what, you know, I want to see Noni Madueke struggling to breathe in terms of how much effort he's applied to a game. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want. If you can do that, then you will win the belief of Chelsea fans back. I enjoy playing anywhere on the pitch, James says, no matter what position that is. Of course, it takes a little bit of time to get used to that role again, but I'll do whatever is needed for the team. Yeah, interesting. A lot of people think Reece James is just going to change position in his career because as a flying wing back, his hamstrings have just, and his knee as well, they've sort of forsaken him. But he's such a good footballer that he'll just find a way to be on the pitch. You know, he's so good at passing, he's so good at crossing, he's so good at tackling, he's so strong, he's a really good finisher and goal scorer. You just sort of have him, don't you? I mean, if he becomes a CDM, I've got absolutely no problems with that. That can score the odd, you know, we know he can score worldy free kicks. I mean, I didn't even talk about dead ball stuff he can do. He's just an amazing footballer that, you know, like Cole Palmer, like, was asked about him. He's like, what a player. Do you know what I mean? It's good to have your captain back. He's just like, yeah, what a player. All right, let's talk about this Football Insider article. All right, again, I mean, I'm citing his words here, so I can't be too hypocritical, but Stefan Borson, he does grind he has previously ground my gears on TalkSport. Basically, he's constantly slagging off Chelsea, saying we're going to get done financially, but we never got done, did we? We never broke any rules, mate. So and of course I do, and again, just my inner football fan chatting here, I just think there's sour grapes there because he works for Man City. He's a Man City fan, and Man City you know, are constantly under the spotlight for financial naughtiness, let's just say, or alleged financial naughtiness, I believe the technical term is. So this article, I haven't set up the screen share, but it's footballinsider247.com. You know, do a lot of exclusives or whatever. Chelsea co-owners Todd Boehly and Bedadik Barley were subject to a high-profile takeover battle last year. Remember that? The relationship between the Stamford Bridge Chiefs, who played a major role in Blueco's £4.25 billion, which I believe is includes the what Rain Group made you commit. It was like $2.5 billion purchase of Chelsea, and then best part of an extra $2 billion, you know, commitment to the club, which makes this bigger figure. Purchase of the London Giants. Every time they call us the London Giants with these American owners, I get nervous. In May 2022, of course, it was believed to be on the rocks following disagreements over future strategy. Again, there is a school of Chelsea fans who believe, of course, Todd Boehly runs the Dodgers, successful, dominant sports team. It's different to football, but it's a sport, a professional sport at the higher level. And he wanted, again, I didn't agree with it. I've obviously, you can go back on the videos here on the channel like a couple of years ago or 3 years ago, whenever it was. He really wanted to sign Cristiano Ronaldo to Chelsea because he wanted that marquee superstar player to like announce himself as Chelsea owner. Yeah, I don't. You know, he obviously ended up going to Man United. I mean, did he? Is that yeah, Man United. I'm trying to give me. He must have gone to Man United at that point or afterwards. Yeah, sorry, my brain is melting. Yeah, that is the timeline. And lots of Chelsea fans, you know, you're either Messi or Ronaldo. All the Ronaldo Chelsea fans were loving the idea. But it shows that Todd Boehly wants the superstars. You know, he wants to buy a few. He doesn't just want to buy kids. Even though he agrees with the general strategy for generating revenue and buying young stars of Chelsea. And there's this idea that when he was sporting director, again, I didn't agree with the results of, you know, Aubameyang, Sterling, Koulibaly. None of it worked out. Do you know what I mean? But and they were all on high wages, and it kind of like, if anything, it shows how the mercenary gig doesn't work anymore. But a little bit of that. Do you know what I mean? A couple of superstars, senior players that know how to win will go a long, long way. And again, I can't say definitively, but there's this perception that that's sort of Boehly's position, and Clearlake a little bit more like chummy with the sporting directors that want all the kids. Clearlake Capital secured a 61.5% stake in the Premier League side following the takeover deal, while Boehly and fellow billionaires Mark Walter and Hans-Jörg Weiss each hold a 12.8% shareholding. So yes, so the remaining like just over. Well, it's like, yeah. So they're three guys. Yeah, I mean, Hans-Jörg Wyss, again, he's a figure that's not into football. He obviously, he's very, he's all about like green energy, wasn't he? And he was very sort of anti Roman Abramovich, Russian oligarch vibes. And there's this idea, and he's sort of become a target to Chelsea fans, that he bought Chelsea out of spite to sort of take it away from Abramovich. How much of that's true, I don't know, but he's certain. And he's like, dude's like friggin' super old. He's super old. He's definitely not the favourite stakeholder of Chelsea, although I don't think there is a favourite stakeholder of Chelsea at the moment. Clearlake co-founder Iqbali is believed to be the most active and powerful figure at Chelsea, despite Bowley being named chairman until 2027. Chelsea fans protested against their owners, of course, in the 4-0 victory at Southampton. After big spend, of course, so far delivering little success for the spend. Finance expert Stefan Borson exclusively told Football Insider it's unlikely Iqbali or Bowley will be able to agree for a takeover deal. So this is what people are wondering, because the publicized situation with the Blue co-ownership is they're not allowed to sell controlling shares until 2032, I think. So another 7 odd years, whatever it is. But yeah, Bowley did speak at that football summit, saying that they're trending in the right direction, and he accepted that the criticism that they've endured is par for the course. Football Insider revealed on the November the 8th, Chelsea's valuation has dropped over the past couple of years on on-field performances. That's interesting, and that's probably true, because of not nailed on Champions League finishes every season. But you'd have to also look at, the investment of young, I don't know if that counts as, it must count as players, like assets, inverted commas, because the increased value of the likes of Santos, Palmer, Palmer's like trebled in value at least. Santos is like, doubled, nearly trebled. You've got Esteval Willian, who looks like he could be the best South American young player in the world in terms of financial value. I mean, maybe that stuff's not taken into account. Borson believes it would be difficult for the ownership group to receive the money they have put into the club since the takeover. The truth is, though, Chelsea were purchased thanks to Abramovich with no debt, which is massive. Chelsea still is such, and this is me speaking, not the article, a desired asset. Like, it's an amazing football club, prestigious, European prestige, again, amazing real estate in southwest London. Just an amazing history, a brand, which is what these people look at. I think the chances of selling is low, and it would be very hard to find a buyer that would bail them out. They've also still got the stadium issue. Yeah, that's huge. It's been expensive, and they've overpaid. If they can do anything that they would want to with English football as leaders of that disruption in terms of changes to the games, changes the way it monetizes itself, then clearly they can still make a return. Well, that's their whole thing, isn't it? And it's not these guys. If they left Chelsea, it would be the next Americans that come in. They all want the same thing. They all want the optimization in terms of monetization of football. It's hugely, and this is not me saying I want this. This is me analyzing the landscape and just telling you what's going on in the world of sport. Premier League football is profoundly undervalued, and there's so much more money to be made in terms of how many people watch it, in terms of how much money it makes. And these billionaires, these businessmen, that's what they're wired to do. They'll come in and be like, right, well, we need to make more profit. And the Bowley Iqbali thing, they came in and they went to the Premier League meeting and they said to everyone, we should all make way more money here, and let's do it together. Whether that will happen, I don't know. And again, it's not romantic, it's not nice, it's just the ruddy way it is. And if it's not these guys, it will be the next guys. I'm sorry, that's not nihilistic, that's not pessimistic, but it doesn't mean as well that just because there's that sort of cynical truth of the financial situation of football in this day and age, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy football and have a winning team. And ultimately, that's what Chelsea fans want. So he says, would the other side of the consortium take out the other? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's not impossible. So this is what people have talked about. Of course, Clearlake Capital, should they want to buy Chelsea out, they'd got the money. Like, they're worth insane amounts of money. Remember when Chelsea were put up for sale, and you had all these social media accounts? I think I still had Twitter at the time, and everyone getting terribly excited about, you know, Saudis and Qataris' net worth, and it was like point scoring, like, oh, they're worth this much money, and then it caught out like how much funds Clearlake Capital actually run, because that's what you wanted. You wanted your team to spend money. You know, you wanted, you know, certain clubs, fans of clubs were annoyed that they're not spending enough money, and, you know, they want Chelsea to spend money again. And it's ironic that these new Chelsea owners have come in and spent more money than Abramovich, and they're more upset than ever. Do you know what I mean? But at the time, you wanted money, and everyone was just Googling net worth. And when they found out how much money Clearlake Capital, you know, look after the available funds, everyone got very excited. So they probably would have the funds. But, you know, at the end of the day, because Chelsea's such a desirable asset, I think Todd Boehly, obviously him, Weiss and Walter couldn't buy out Clearlake, because both sides of the Civil War think Chelsea could be worth so much more in the future, that they'll project that, and they'll be like, yeah, we've got a great deal on buying Chelsea. It was the right thing to do. And remember, Chelsea didn't go to the highest bidder. Rain Group sold Chelsea to, you know, the consortium, because it was a seized asset from Abramovich. It wasn't, you know, for example, like Daniel Levy, if he sold or Enix sold Tottenham, they'd just sell it to the highest bidder. They'd want money. A perfect example, Newcastle, the Goblin Overlord that ran their club into the ground. He sold it to the Saudis. Why? Because he got the most money. So that's a state-backed club now, state-owned club. But this wasn't that. Abramovich had his club ripped away from him, and he wouldn't have sold it to the highest bidder anyway. It just wouldn't have been in his interest. He did consider selling Chelsea. Todd Boehly in 2018 tried to buy Chelsea, which gets lost in the wash as well. Yeah, so it was a really unique situation where Chelsea wasn't sold to the highest bidder. It was sold to people who looked like they had a plan, who looked like they had experience. Again, Todd Boehly with sports teams, who, you know, made the right sounds. You wouldn't have to worry about geopolitical issues with, say, there was a different Russian oligarch other than Roman Abramovich who tried to buy Chelsea, or again a Saudi Arabia or Qatar or something trying to buy Chelsea. You can just wave American businessmen in, rightly or wrongly. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't go to the highest bidder. So they'll look at their purchase of Chelsea as a good deal. And, you know, again, in the future, Chelsea could be worth way, way more. So to buy each other out, they wouldn't be able to agree on a deal. But in theory, Todd Boehly's side, I do think he would be able to generate funds, because he could just, present Chelsea to investors and be like, this is dope, this is going to be great. We're at a low now, you can buy low, we'll go high. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think he would be able to get the funds, but I just don't think the two sides of the Civil War, Clearlake and Boehly's boys, could agree on a fee. Very interesting though, of course, all this stuff behind the scenes, footballing news stories I will always cover here, but above all, we want to win football games. I will do a match preview of the Copenhagen game tomorrow. We'll talk about that. Hopefully we can get through that. But thank you in the meantime for liking and subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy. And I hope to see you back here very soon. Peace.